Here today, we're getting back into a series of videos that I haven't really done on my channel in a few months, and that is the Why I Own It series of videos, where I basically pull out a piece of media from my collection and tell you why I own that specific item. Here today, we're talking about the 2-disc 70th anniversary DVD edition of The Wizard of Oz. So stay tuned. To cut right to the point of this video, to make it short and sweet for anyone who doesn't want to sit through my little explanation, why do I own the 70th anniversary DVD edition of The Wizard of Oz as opposed to a Blu-ray or one of the newer 4K editions? Well, the simple answer is that I think this version here on DVD is one of the best representations of the film in terms of making it look like a theatrical exhibition version, something you would have seen in the theater. Granted, I never saw this in the theater. I'm way too young to have seen this when it first came out. But this DVD, in my opinion, looks about the best you can get of anything I've actually watched for The Wizard of Oz. Now, to go into a little more detail on this, I've talked about it in a few other videos here on my channel, most notably my Alien 1979 video about the DVD version. I have an affinity and kind of an affection for older films on DVD as opposed to on Blu-ray or 4K or watching them through streaming. And there's a bunch of different reasons for that. I won't get into all of it here. But the main point of it is that the DVD versions of some older films, to me, just look more nostalgic and just look more representative, I suppose, of what I felt a theatrical release of a classic film would have been like. And there are exceptions to the rule. There are some Blu-rays and some 4Ks of films that actually look really good and probably superior on their Blu-ray or 4K format. Alien comes to mind again, about the 4K version that came out a few years ago. But for the most part, a lot of classic films, in my opinion, that really say are like pre-2000 era, 90s and older, those kind of films have a lot of like nostalgia for me, and they look pretty good, in my opinion, on DVDs, provided the mastering on the DVD is done correctly and not butchered really badly. But that goes across the board. There's Blu-rays and 4Ks that suffer from that as well. And so the Wizard of Oz 70th anniversary DVD set that's right here, this came out in 2009, I think falls perfectly into that category of a DVD version of this film that looks better like this on standard DVD than it does on Blu-ray. I can't comment on the 4K releases because I've never seen them, but at least on the Blu-ray release I had of this film, the DVD version I'm holding here in my hand, to me, looks and sounds better than the Blu-ray version. Now, the Blu-ray version I had is actually the exact same transfer from this DVD version that it was sourced from. So it was released in 2009 at the same time as this DVD, and it was just released on Blu-ray as opposed to DVD. Came from the same transfer, the same kind of audio mixes and everything were kind of just transported between the two versions. And I had that Blu-ray edition here in my home theater from about 2010, 2011-ish, when I got it on a Black Friday deal. I paid like $5 for it. And then I found this version at a thrift store about a year ago for like 50 cents. I realized I enjoyed this version a lot better. And I think the main reason for that is not only do I think just the audio and video on this is more representative of what I feel like the film would have been like originally, but the Blu-ray from 2009 at least suffered from some video issues. And so this DVD doesn't really have that. It's a lot smoother and it's just like a more filmic representation. Now, that 2009 Blu-ray did have some pretty saturated, vibrant colors to it. A little more clarity because it's a higher bit rate on the actual disc. It's a 1080 disc versus this being like 480 or whatever. But this DVD still has plenty of color, plenty of saturation, plenty of sharpness without DNR and just over processing to it. It just looks like a film. And I really enjoy that. Now for the audio side, this release and its Blu-ray counterpart have both a Dolby 5.1 remix of this film and an original mono mix, which I really like because some of the newer Blu-ray, some of the newer 4K releases I think have both, but some of the newer releases on Blu-ray prior to the most recent 4K coming out omitted the original mono audio track, and it just had the remastered, remixed 5.1. And if you've watched any of my content here before, I like to find theatrical audio mixes and something that's more in line with what was originally intended from the director and the producers and the production company. And so having that original mono mix is a big selling point for me. Now, like I said, I believe the newest 4K releases may have the original mono on there as well, so you probably wouldn't be missing out anything on that, you know, versus this. But I haven't seen the 4K or heard the 4K, but I have listened to this and watched this, and I really like both the 5.1 mix, but I also really like the mono mix. I really do enjoy just that standard original audio that you would have heard if you saw this in like 1939 or 1940. Now, one other thing that I enjoy about this versus the Blu-ray I had is that the Blu-ray was a single disc version. So it only had one special feature, I believe, one or two special features, very basic stuff on here. This DVD release is 2 discs, and the second disc has a bunch of special features, documentaries, production featurettes, stuff about the cultural impact of the film. I mean, this is one of those classic Hollywood films that I think most people just know about The Wizard of Oz and kind of know what happens and what goes on in this film. And so there's a lot of special features. And the Blu-ray I had was only a single disc. It omitted all of that stuff. And so to find this out in the thrift store for 50 cents with all those special features, it was a big pickup for me. I really appreciated finding that. And it's part of the reason I decided to keep this one. Now you can still get those other special features on a Blu-ray release. I know there's 2 disc versions of this out there and some more modern updated releases with different artwork and packaging that poured over the special features here. And I believe the 4K ports most of this over and may even have some newer stuff for, I believe it was an 80th anniversary. But for me, this version here would be one of the best ways to go outside of maybe buying that new 4K, but also you're gonna spend maybe 10 bucks on this, give or take, sometimes as low as 5 online. And sometimes, like me, if you go to thrift stores, I see this in pretty good abundance out in the thrifting kind of market where I'm in. Granted, you don't always find the 2 disc version. A lot of times you'll find the single disc version. But if you only want the film, you can find this pretty regularly in thrift stores, at least in my area, for like less than $2 or $3. Like I said, mine I got for 50 cents. I would highly recommend picking this one up. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I don't think you're gonna regret the audio and picture quality that is on this disc, despite it being just a DVD. And the other one that really competes with it is the more modern 4K release that came out for the 80th anniversary. But with that, I'm gonna wrap this video up. Definitely leave a comment down below on your thoughts on Wizard of Oz, if you're a fan of the film. I know I am. Let me know if you have this in your collection and what physical release you have in your collection if you do have it. And so like I always say, thank you to everyone who supported the channel. I really do appreciate it. Definitely consider giving me a like and a subscribe if you enjoy this content. And I will see you the next time in the next video right here on Secondhand Home Theater. Thank you.